Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video I'll be discussing some brief thoughts on the 12th episode of the anime series, Suisei no Gargantia. This episode really saw a much-needed turn for the small handful of main characters we've been following as of late, from Leto, who's been mulling over the weight of everything he's seen and experienced, and what he's come to now feel for this world that he finds himself in, to Luckage, the headmistress of the pirate faction, whose machinations, though not wholly honorable in their foundations, will accrue, if carried out correctly enough, a win for all of the parties involved, as a charge to war is given by the end. And while there was a great sense of satisfaction for me in watching as Leto comes to question Chamber as to his abilities if they were ever to wage war on Kugel's machine caliber striker, and the subsequently phenomenal battle waged across the sky, like an airborne chess game with Pinion and his crew serving as pawns, to Leto's king versus the queen that was Striker amongst the clouds, it too was satisfying for me to see that even Pinion himself had witnessed enough to realize the error of his ways. And these discoveries of self were embodied by moments wherein I too was feeling as the characters were. Pinion's being nearly seduced by a whole host of tucked away tech and a neat little gizmo he could wear over his eyes to see the innermost digital clockworks of each and every piece, for example. Even without being an uber techie, I could see how this would be akin to stumbling onto a cache of gold to him. And yet he still managed to hold on to his reservations, aided and brought to the fore by Luckage's confessions of a planned mutiny should enough power surface behind her. And her verbal advances toward him made me wonder if, when things are all said and done, she might make him an offer to come along with her, one that he might just take. But then, while he seems like the type that would jump at the chance of a less than honorable adventurous life of fortune and glory, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. They are still the pirates that attacked Gargantia after all. Then there was the explicit revelation of just how insane these cultists of this fleet have become, carrying out the issued commands of their chosen god, Striker, as they wheel out dozens of their weak and infirm strapped to chairs, draped in sacrificial robes, and one by one are cowled, spun around, and sent careening into the ocean waters below to their deaths. The connection here for Leto to the memory of what may have been his younger brother is all too stark in realization, and it's a discovery he truly needed to experience firsthand, as it puts a face to the violence he'd never questioned as yet, much as the revelation of the link between human beings and Hideos opened his eyes previously. But amidst the intense action, the call to war, and the self-discoveries of this band of heroes, there was an even greater and more disturbing revelation by the end, one that at least one of my viewers and I had both speculated might come to pass. Spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't seen the episode as yet. You may want to tune out now and come back later. Consider yourself warned, and onward we go. As Leto and Chamber manage just barely to strong-arm Striker out of the sky, there's a noticeable shift in the tone of Kugel's words to Leto. They become flat and monotone, repetitive, like a series of programmed responses. Leto may or may not have picked up on this, I'm not really sure. But even if he didn't, he soon discovers all is not well with Kugel, as he uses an emergency open command on Striker's cockpit and discovers the lifeless corpse of Kugel inside, which, as Leto stares at it incredulously, begins to wither away as the mummified remains of an Egyptian tomb might do, having been exposed to fresh air for the first time in centuries. Kugel's truly lost his head in more ways than one by the end, or perhaps it would be more accurate to say Striker's programming has been compromised. The feminine-voiced AI cannot interpret what Leto's actions mean, and she powers up and takes to the skies once more as the episode leaves off in a cliffhanger, which leaves me feeling at this point that while it will be possible for Leto and Chamber to defeat the opponent machine caliber, I have to wonder at what cost. I've come to be nervous for both Leto and Chamber in that cause. We may lose one, or the other, or both. Maybe we'll lose neither, and they'll truly win the day. It'll be an awesome spectacle to see how the series comes to a close with that in mind. Especially as it seems the people of Pinion's small fleet are ready and willing to rejoin Gargantia, most notably of which is Amy's friend Melty, who I have to say I was really proud of in this episode for being willing to risk her life to get back and warn her friends in Gargantia of their pending doom. But then, what of that ominous key Dr. Oldham deigns Rigid consider using? This thing comes across as being a technological remnant of a lost age, perhaps a doomsday device. Perhaps then the fate of this world is truly sealed, with all bets off for a happy ending. and I couldn't be more well and truly eager to find out what's coming in the final episode. And I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of this episode in particular, the high-flying battle waged in the sky, the revelations of the horrific lengths to which these cultists have willingly gone, and the much-needed turns and calls to action in our main cast of heroes. And otherwise, that'll be it for me on this one. I hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.